So we just had a live stream from the First Descendant developers, and it's really nice to have a face-to-face with them. Basically, what they did is covered the patch that is going live tonight, 1.21. So let's talk about it.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
So I think they hit on all the important topics, and one of them ended up being the data vaults at the end of the Void Vessel. So a lot of people have been struggling getting the target boxes for what they were actually farming for, because the Void Vessel delivers data vaults for both Keelan and the Fellow. And if you had already completed them, it can be frustrating to continue to get boxes for the one you've already completed and not the one you're actually after. So with tonight's patch, they have a fix. Instead of having RNG determine whether you get Fellow data vaults or Keelan data vaults, you're going to get a mix of Keenan and Fellow boxes. And what RNG will be doing will be varying the mix. So sometimes you'll have 3 Keenan boxes and 2 Fellow boxes, and sometimes you'll have 3 Fellow boxes and 2 Keenan boxes. And it sounds like a good idea, because although some data vaults are more optimal than others for a particular part, all of them do have a chance at delivering every part for that Descendant or that Fellow. So you're still playing with RNG, but now with every single run, you have a chance at making progress for your goal Descendant or Fellow. And the targeting loot system can apply to this. For example, after 10 runs, if you still haven't gotten the part you're looking for, it'll deliver it. Okay, one of the other big ones, and I think everybody was on the same page here, the heavy ion collectors. It wasn't the quantity, it was the fact that you could only get heavy ion collectors from a single zone in our map, which is White Knight Gulch. You either had to do the Biolab or Mystery's End, and doing it over 20 times to get all the parts you need, boy oh boy, was that a bore. The quantity you need isn't really that much of a drag, but it feels like it when you're doing the same mission over and over again. On top of that, you need to continue to farm the same heavy ion collectors for the new shotgun, hammer, and anvil. So that's the problem. The solution? Well, they're adding the ability to farm heavy ion collectors through other infiltrations. But how they're doing it is a little bit unique. So it's coming with a feature that's called Other Infiltration Support. It's a little checkbox at the bottom of your infiltration menu that you can select before you start. This feature goes beyond the heavy ion collector, but the idea here is to be able to target farm specific amorphous patterns or materials, but extend those targets outside of a particular infiltration. So using the heavy ion collectors as an example, you could go to White Knight Gulch, Mystery's End, select the amorphous pattern in that menu, check that box, and hit match. Now what it's going to do is route you to another Descendant who's on standby for whatever infiltration. Now it's going to match you with the same difficulty. So if you selected 250%, it's going to match you with another 250%. If you selected 400%, then it'll be a 400%. The catch is you could still end up back at Mystery's End if there seems to be a lot of traffic at that particular infiltration. So it is randomized based on vacancy slots. But either way, this sounds like a really cool feature, because it's annoying to have to play the same missions over and over again for the same part. And this is also intended to make matchmaking go a little bit faster. So Keelan performance. Does he need a little bit of TLC? Probably. So although he's really fun and amazing and currently my favorite Descendant at the moment, he slightly underperforms, mostly around cooldowns. So quick note, the devs have mentioned before that they're doing things in stages on purpose, because what they don't want to do is create another Ultimate Freyna situation where they introduce a game-breaking OP character or weapon and then end up facing a situation where they possibly have to nerf that character. And that's why they're approaching things the way that they are. They are testing it with the focus group, they release it, they get more feedback, and they process it and then tune the character. So we are expecting enhancements to Keelan. But for now, what they've said is that in patch 1.22, he's going to get a quick turn feature that will allow him to make a turn. So this is coming next week. This is going to apply to all Descendants, but it will make him that much more agile. So in a future balance, what they plan to do is figure out ways to make Onslaught more available. But they didn't do it in this initial release because currently, if they did that, there's no ceiling in the game. So you could literally go up, up, beyond, and away. So they had to cap his capability in order to prevent that until they get a ceiling in the game. So they're working on a workaround to enable us to have infinite use on his Onslaught, which is his dash, by the way, like during his adventurous state, but only while he's on the ground. For now, until they implement the ceiling in the game. Then I'm sure they'll rebalance it. This part, his infinite Onslaught ability, is coming as soon as possible, but we don't have a hard date yet. Also, there's an error with your fellow where his level doesn't match with the progression in the journal, so they're fixing that. With this also comes a rebalancing patch to ultimate weapons, particularly those that are relying on high power rounds. So we're talking shotguns, launchers, and snipers. So they kind of gave us a gist here, but more will be discovered upon release. What they've done is allowed all weapons to start with 15 high-powered rounds instead of 5. Snipers will also get an increase in rounds per magazine. The piercing light, for example, will go from 6 rounds to 11 rounds by default in the mag. Launchers will get bigger explosive radius. In other words, each round will do more damage. So in theory, you will use less ammo. And shotguns get a buff rounds per magazine also. And they're making it easier to control, to spam the trigger. So less misses, more shots on target, and in theory, that means you're using less ammo. And the Smithereens is gonna get a damage buff on top of everything. So I can't wait to try some of these out because a lot of my favorite weapons use that hard hitting ammo. And then we got some quality of life things. They've improved the target reward menu so that it's going to be on the Access Info's main page. That's pretty sick. Super stoked about that. They did open up about the next patch as well, so we got a high level on that. That'll be 1.22, which is going to land on December 19th. And this ends up being the last patch of the year, and that's because we're coming against the holidays. And although they would like to do another patch, the teams they rely on are just going to be AFK. So Spec Ops is going to get a private mode. So you'll finally be able to solo Special Ops. This is when they will add that quick turn feature I discussed. Also, they're fixing the coyote time issue, which is where you get this weird timeout on your double jump capability. All outpost patterns will be now seen in infiltrations. They're rebalancing reactors finally. So you're only going to see matching attributes for the reactor. An example is on a toxic reactor, you're not going to see chill skill damage show up in the sub attributes down below. The next patch after the 19th we'll see on January 7th, and that will be patch 1.23. Hey, guess what? We got a sneak peek on Inez. It's just a screenshot, but boy, it shows that she can create some electric chaos. We didn't get much information except we heard that crits will be something that you will seek with her setups. They did mention that the next fellow that will be introduced will be a Labrador Retriever, so that'll be fun. They also said that in the 7th week update, the January one of Season 2, the preseason weapons that we saw will be available via probably the ETA store. And the second update in January, we'll see Void Erosion Control, which is going to be very difficult end game content, and I'm super stoked about that. Invasions will be reworked further down the line, by the way, so there's been a lot of feedback about how boring they are, and they are, but right now they're leaving it alone because it's currently the best gold farm in the game, and it's the route to Haley, and they don't want to rework content until there is enough new content in the game, at which point they will take this one offline and go back to the lab. They did also mention that a Colossus will be coming into the Biolab infiltration per popular request. However, we didn't get a date on this. Here's some news and something I hope we see in the near future, but they are developing a companion app. Now, they didn't give us a date on it because it's still in progress, but the initial direction is to be an info check, perhaps to check the progress of what you have cooking and research, and also check out the map or the rotation of gear. I guess, but they're hoping to make this sync with the game. So that's all we know right now, and we don't know when this will be out, but I wouldn't count on it anytime super soon. Here's one we all want to see. They do have a concept in the works for the transitioning of a common descendant to an ultimate descendant. Now, right now, they're saying that this is planned for the Season 3 update. But the idea here is they will add a new item. It's going to be a non-paid, limited item you can earn around the same time the Ultimate is released. And you would use this item to transfer resources of some sort from your original descendant to your new one. And I hope they keep giving us intel on this, and I believe they will. They did say in a coming update that they will give us more intel, but we need more information so people feel more comfortable investing in common descendants, knowing that there's possibly an ultimate around the corner. Don't forget the January 16th update is gonna supply us with some New Year's skins, and then in February they did mention or confirm that we're gonna get more skins related to spring as well as Valentine's Day. And then in the second update in January, they will be rotating that Void Abyss boss. In that Void Abyss, they did mention like the idea there is really for solo gameplay. They want it to be a system to test the build's merit. That's it for now, short and sweet. And by the way, I just put out a guide on Keelan, everything you need to know, including unfiltered feedback. Check that out. Catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
One and only.
And this was another episode of The First Descendant. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The First Descendant. And if you like videos like this, check out the one I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy or download anything for The First Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.